So hello, I'm Dr. Zacharia, and we're here to talk about the Masters of Engineering in Polymer Engineering program at University of Wisconsin-Madison. We're an online program. If this is what you're here to listen about, then you're in the right place, and hopefully everyone here is. All right, so let's get started. Very briefly, we're just going to introduce myself and Karene here, who's also on the call. And we're going to talk about, we have both a master's degree in polymer engineering, and we also have a Capstone certificate program. We're going to talk about both of those, and we're going to round up by just briefly describing the application process, and of course, questions at the end. So I am Dr. Zacharia. I am the academic director for the program, which means like I'm the person kind of in charge of curriculum and finding instructors, and I do a lot of the course instruction and student advising and things like that. I am the resident polymer person. I'm trained in material science with specialty in polymers. Before I came to University of Wisconsin, I was faculty at Texas A&M University and then University of Akron for a few years running research in polyelectrolytes as well as teaching. And now since 2019, I've been with the University of Wisconsin working on this program. What we're presenting to you today kind of represents a revamped, relaunched new curriculum and all that. And so that's what we've been doing for the last few years. And Karene, you'll talk to her at the end. She'll handle the details about application and so forth, but she handles a lot of the interactions with you, our prospective students and current students as well. So to kind of explain, like give context to what our office is, we're part of the interdisciplinary professional programs at the university. And so we are a separate office within engineering. So sometimes people ask like, what department are we in? Or so the online programs kind of have their own home. We're our own office. We are part of the College of Engineering, but we're not associated like with mechanical or chemical or, so on. We do use some of their faculty, of course, have a lot of collaboration with, with the on-campus people. But Interpro is, it's its own group of people that manage both kind of not credit professional development courses as well as master's degrees. We have a few different ones and capstone certificate programs as well. Generally speaking, our mission is to advance the Wisconsin idea. And so that's something, if you come to be a student with us, that you'll hear about. And the Wisconsin idea is just to say that, education should have impact outside of the classroom and in. And, a degree like ours is certainly like that, because it's about having, giving you all some fundamental understanding about polymers, but also practical knowledge that helps you in your careers. That's what we hope for. So why would you like a master's degree or a certificate in polymers? Probably as you know, polymer engineering is something of a specialty. Many of our students come to us with a background, maybe chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, or even chemistry. And maybe you had like one class as an undergrad, but there's a whole world of knowledge to learn about polymers out there. And we strive to introduce you to kind of the range of different things. So hopefully just the knowledge is of use, to help you in your careers. The credential could be of use to help you in your careers. Maybe you want to switch something a little bit. As I've said, we have a certificate as well. Sometimes people, with one type of background like to get a few classes in just so they can better operate in polymer processing or related fields. And we have, as our instructors, everyone does have a PhD who instructs for us. Some people are academics like myself, and some people are, industry, just people who've been working in the polymers industry or processing industry, for many decades and enjoy teaching students. So, we have a wealth of knowledge and experience for you to learn from, and we think it's a valuable addition, to your credentials that may propel you forward in your career. And so here we have a very nice quote that one of our former students has given us. Basically, if you read what he says, he's telling us that, virtual classrooms allowed to talk with other students, but still be flexible, right? You can do this from wherever you are, but we hope to create some kind of sense that you're part of a program with classmates. And that, you still expanded his knowledge and equipped him with skills for professional growth, right? So we have multiple goals for you are, of course, to learn things, to network. That's always a part of school. And we do try to include some of those aspects into our program. and at the end of the day, to help you achieve whatever career goals it is that you're seeking. So first, we're gonna just kind of explain like what's involved in the master's degree, and then we'll talk about the certificate for a moment. So the polymer engineering master's degree, and the acronym that we use is MEPE. So if I say MEP, that's what I'm talking about, the polymer engineering master's degree. It's a 30 credit program. Everything is online. So as I explained, our office is separate from the departments on campus. We host a lot of the curriculum in our office, but even some of the classes are offered by mechanical engineering, for example. And so, in cases like that, you'll have a mechanical engineering professor who's giving his class on campus, and he adds an online section. So all his lectures are recorded, and you watch them, and you have like a weekly office hour session with him, to make sure that you understand what's going on. So everything is online. There is never a requirement that you come to campus, although we do have opportunities for that as well. Every year in August, we have an event that's it's not an orientation. It's more than that. It's everyone is invited who cares to come, and we do a little symposium for a couple of days, networking event. So you can get to know everyone, and kind of hopefully feel part of UW, and that you are a Badger, because all of our degrees are the same credential as someone who came to campus and took their degree, so you don't have to worry about that. So 30 credits means what? Um, Generally speaking, our classes are 3 credits each, so that's 10 classes. So you can think about how that gets spaced out. 2 to 3 years, two, since most of our students have jobs, right? Like the pace at which people take classes is also up to the individual students. Some people take 2 classes a semester, and full work plus 2 classes, that's a pretty big load. So sometimes, depending on the class, maybe people take two classes some semesters, and some semesters when they're working on something a little more challenging, maybe they'll just take one. We do offer summer classes. So you can imagine if you took, for your first year, two, and one summer class, that's 5, and you did that 2 years, that would be a 2-year program. Like I said, that's a little bit more ambitious, so I think it's not unusual for our students to take up to 3 years. It is possible also to like take a break. Sometimes people switch jobs or whatever, life happens. It is important to us that our students are able to be successful and that they have a little bit of flexibility, right? When you're no longer an undergraduate, other considerations, also are at play, and we try very much to work with our students. So the courses are all online, but it's not like correspondence classes. We have live, there's a live webinar session for each class, like one time a week, just again, so you can connect with the instructor, the other students, and just make sure that everyone's keeping pace. Tuition $1,300 per credit, and that's resident, non-resident, and international students as well. So that's a nice thing. We can be anywhere in the world and taking these classes with us. For admissions, the list of requirements here. So this first requirement is strict. You do have to have a bachelor's degree. Um, in general, in our office, we say it should be an ABET accredited engineering degree. However, polymer is a little bit special, right? We think it is appropriate to consider people who have chemistry degrees. I think we've had people with a bachelor's degree in math, and I know for sure we've had at least one biology student. So we definitely like consider kind of holistically, what your background is, if it could be appropriate, what you've been working in, how all of that goes. But yes, you do have to have a bachelor's degree in a STEM field, let's say. So the minimum GPA for your undergraduate degree, 3.0, that's a graduate school admissions, let's say, recommendation. It is not a bright line, but it is something that we follow. So what I mean is, like, I don't know, if you have a 2.92, we will definitely very seriously consider you. So there's a small amount of flexibility with that particular requirement. Um, the test, some kind of documentation that you are fluent in English might be required. Sometimes if we have international people or students who did their bachelor's degree abroad. So, like I was saying, you can think about spacing things in different ways. Here is one potential sequence that would get you out in 2 years plus a fall, but you'll notice this person, this kind of hypothetical course plan doesn't have any summer classes in it. So this person would be taking 2 classes and 2 classes in the fall and spring of the first year. Again, 2 classes, fall and spring of the second year, and then 2 classes in the third fall. So that's a way that you would get out in 2.5 years. So we'll talk briefly about like specific curricular requirements. When you look at all of these things, we have our courses kind of divided into there's some core courses, plus there's some number of electives that you can take. Um, there's this introduction to polymers class, right? That's kind of like the first thing. You should take that first. And that is a prereq for pretty much everything else. The other 2 classes that follow a sequence are rheology and then polymer processing. You generally want to take those sometimes together or one after the other. So that's a sequence. But um, uh, otherwise, aiming to have more flexibility in our curriculum. Many of our classes are sort of standalone, and so that does allow students to, take things at their own pace, let's say. And I will just say that often people come to me and they say, "Oh, Introduction to Polymers, I've had a class like that. Do I have to take it again?" And basically, the answer is that yes, it is possible to get some credits for things that you've done at other schools, like let's say senior/graduate level electives. We do allow up to 6 credits to be transferred in. However, they cannot be used to fulfill any of your core requirements. So that means that maybe I was at a university where we had some kind of polymer classes and I took something that was, equivalent to a first year graduate school course in Introduction to Polymers. We can give you 3 credits of transfer credit, but we will still ask you to take that Introduction to Polymers class again. And so here's the actual list of curricular requirements. And basically, you have 30 credits that are required. 18 of them are kind of dictated. That's your core. And then the other 12 are electives that you can choose from. So in the core classes, you can see here under this column, it says required. There's 5 polymer related classes, and then there's one that's sort of like a pick from this list. So one thing that's nice about our office, since we do offer other engineering master's degree programs, our students do have the availability to look around and be like, hey, there's a really interesting class in the sustainability program or the engineering management program, and I would like to take that. And I think, at least from my point of view, some of that is just like, if, it's a good idea as an engineer that maybe you have some of these things. So in our core requirements, there is like one of the following manufacturing or management courses, and things like project management or technical communication, supply chain management. Those are all kind of options. Then when you look at the electives, yes, we do have more polymer related electives for you to take, but you can take up to 6 credits. So of the 12, so it would be 4 classes. 2 of them should definitely be polymer related, and then 2 of them can be something different. Again, because we do have a broad uh, portfolio of offerings, and I think it's nice that our students get to choose from them. That also goes for there are some on-campus. Well, there are some classes offered by departments on campus that are online. This is kind of a minority, but sure, people sometimes do that as well. So we try to allow you to customize your degree plan, to some degree, if it helps you with your career goals, right? If there's something that you see that's offered that really fits in with what you're going to be working on, at your job, we would like to make that possible for you to take. All right, so that was the master's degree kind of in a nutshell. 30 credits, 10 classes. We want you to have a STEM background. You have 18 credits dictated, and then the other 12 you can choose from. So some flexibility in all of this. Now for the capstone certificate. So its name is Polymer Processing and Manufacturing. And here's a kind of basic parameters around it. So again, it's all completely online. It's a 3-course certificate. So it's not a sequence. Like there's, you'll see on the next slide, there's like a list of things you can choose from, and pretty much all of them work. It, can take, if you do 1 class a semester, it'll take you 3 semesters, but, you can maybe double up and you can do it within a school year. Tuition is the same, and the admissions requirements are similar. Now, I will say here, so we have the same kind of idea, like, yes, we look at engineers with ABET accredited degrees. We look at other people from STEM. in the capstone certificate, that is where I have more space to be flexible. Sometimes I see people who come to us who are like, well, I was a chemist in undergrad, but I've been working for many years now and I'm in polymer processing and I know a lot about like kind of practical stuff that I've learned on the job, but it would really help me in my career if I had some kind of credential that, was engineering or that was like more polymer related. But I don't know, it's been a long time since I've done school and I'm not sure how it's going to go. The capstone certificate is an excellent place to start. Same thing with GPA requirements. I mean, of course, we're always looking for the best students, and it's not irrelevant how you did in your undergraduate degree, but we also understand that, maybe, you were okay at school, but not great, but now you've been working for 10 or 15 years and you have a new degree of seriousness, right? That happens sometimes. People get a little bit more mature as they get older and they want to try again. So capstone certificate is a good place for you to start in. Or just other reasons, like I'm not sure how online is going to go. I'm not sure about a lot of things. Capstone certificate is a good place to start. So you can think about it in two different ways. Like maybe like I really only just want the certificate. I already have a master's degree. I already have a PhD. It would be useful for me to learn a few classes, learn a little bit about polymers. Okay, capstone certificate. That's great. I may be interested in the master's degree. I'm not sure if I qualify. I'm not sure if I'll do well. Capstone certificate is still a good place to start, right? Because you can take a few classes if it doesn't really work out, but maybe you can push through and take 3 classes. So you'll have some kind of credential, right? As opposed to starting the master's degree and then not really going anywhere with that. Um, as I said, we have more flexibility with some of the admissions requirements, and it's just like it's a good starting point for somebody who's maybe not sure. That's what I would say about the capstone certificate. So you can think about it in two ways, like either like you really just want a little bit, or you're kind of thinking about like dipping your toes in and you're not sure. So and then what's next if you're following that second path? Um, while you're a capstone certificate student, you're what's considered a special student. And then you could, let's say you did well and you want to apply to be a master's student, and so we let you into our program. You can take those 9 credits and transfer them into the master's degree, so you wouldn't have to take things again. So it would all of your education with us would be towards that goal of getting that master's degree. So here's, just an example plan of study. Let's say you took in one semester rheology and processing, and then in the next semester you took transport phenomenon. All right. So, and here, this is what I wanted to show, the complete list of classes that you can choose from. Um, uh, you can choose any of these 3. Sometimes students choose other things as well, and maybe they take a capstone with 4 classes. If there's something of special interest, but there's a good good degree of flexibility as well, like to take things that you find interesting. You'll notice that the classes that are listed here are more kind of processing oriented. Again, the name of the capstone is polymer processing and manufacturing. Um, but it still goes to my greater point. Like all 3 of these, any 3 classes that you would choose from this list would go towards fulfilling requirements for the master's degree as well. So what does it look like if you enroll with us and you take some classes? Generally speaking, we use what's called a flipped classroom. So that means that you meet with me or whoever your instructor is 1 hour a week. But you're expected to do more than 1 hour of work. So you're doing other readings or maybe other viewings of videos online before we have our live meeting. And that's just so it can take a little like getting used to. But if you kind of think about um, everyone's got a job, it's very difficult. I think it would be very difficult to arrange 3 hours a week for each class. And let's say you're taking 2 classes. Scheduling wise, I think realistically that's never going to work. So we use this flipped method as well, instead. And it's not, and it's not even to say that it's like second best. There's a lot of kind of educational pedagogy that thinks that flipped methods are actually better because, you're going to meet with your instructor 1 hour a week. You're really going to get your bang out of it. You ask the questions that need to be asked and, kind of make sure that you know what's going on because you've already done a lot of reading and video viewing and so forth. And you can do that at your own pace and kind of, um, let things soak in as required. Generally speaking, what we do is that assignments are due at the end of the weekends, like Sunday night. Maybe you have a webinar on like a Wednesday. So hopefully by then you've already like looked at the homework or, whatever the weekly assignment is. So, professor on Wednesday night spends maybe half an hour kind of pointing out some things that, maybe you did or didn't see in your readings and viewings. And then you have the second half of the hour to talk about sample problems or the homework or things like that. We try to make the webinar sessions collaborative when that works. You can do a lot of work, like that's your opportunity for interaction, right, with the other students or with the professor. So there try to be a lot of worked examples there. A lot of instructors also have some kind of office hour during the week, either by appointment or like a standing, like I will be sitting here while I'm working at my desk, like with a Zoom window open, on Friday afternoons or whatever, drop in if you need. Um, and we do, again, because we assume that all our students are working, the webinars are generally after work. Central, let's say central time between 5 and 8 p.m. Yes, sometimes we have people from different time zones, and some of all that stuff and work travel means that you can't attend every live session. We do have our instructors record our classes, so that you can watch them later. Again, we always trying for maximum flexibility. If you are making a good faith effort to like do your classes and do all your work and so on, we will do our best to help you get through everything, even if it requires a little bit of flexibility in some of these aspects. All right, so I've said lots and I'm done with my part, and I will let Karene take over now for the rest of the webinar.
So we are currently accepting programs for our fall term, and we have a little bit of wiggle room, but the deadline is July 1st. If you have already started your application before then, and maybe you can't get all your letters of recommendation in, or you need a little bit of time for your personal statement, I can work with you on that. Just let me know. If you have any questions, I'm happy to talk to you about the application as we are approaching the middle of June already. I can't believe we are already at the middle of June, close to it. That's really not supposed to happen this fast. It's important to note that we will process your application as soon as it's submitted, and we don't hold it and wait until July 1st. So I will start looking at those when they are ready, and then I will hand them to the committee as soon as they are all together. Um, and you will be evaluated solely on your application and whether or not you meet the requirements. You do not need to worry about competing against other applicants. You do not need to have an engineering degree, as Dr. Zacharia said, to apply to our programs. You just need a strong background in STEM. And if you do have a question about that after this webinar, please feel free to reach out to us and we can discuss that further. We often ask you to send us a unofficial transcript so that we can look a little bit into your background and give you an idea about whether or not we think the STEM background is strong enough for you to be successful in our programs. As part of the application process, we do ask you to write that personal statement. There's no set template for that statement. It's just your chance to tell us a little bit more about your background and why you would like to participate in our program. It just gives us a better idea about you and your academic, your employment, your personality, history, anything that goes beyond your resume and your transcript. And once your application is submitted, the committee will review it and they'll make your recommendation. I will then send you an email with our decision from the program. Then your application will be sent to the graduate school for a final review and decision. Usually the graduate school will make their decision and align with us. What they are looking for is that you have sent in your official transcript to them, which means it needs to go from your undergraduate school straight to their office. So even if you put a transcript in, if it didn't go school to school, they'll ask you for another transcript and that it meets the 3.0 or that we've done additional paperwork to justify that. And if you have an international transcript that you have English proficiency scores in there, and any other requirements that the grad school is looking for. They just look it over to make sure that those qualifications are met. And then they will send you an official notification of their decision. From there, we will communicate with you about next steps and how we finish your onboarding. And at that point, your application journey will move from the admissions process into the system, and we will just keep communicating with you until you are registered for classes. And we are always happy to answer any questions. I can do a virtual meeting, or Dr. Zacharia could do a virtual meeting with you, or we can just do email. If you are interested in doing an application, please send me an email and I would be happy to send you application fee waiver code to waive that $75 application fee.